Welcome back to Winners and Losers. This is the show that looks at the highs and the lows from around the Premier League this weekend. Joining me is Christopher Hamill. Hamill, how are you finding lockdown 2.0?
Not started yet, has it? But I'm bloody flying at the moment, mate. Celtic firmly back on track. Took down the mighty Aberdeen at the second time of asking. Here we are. 10 in a row, it's underway. Finally, the campaign has started, so I'm a happy boy. But we're not talking about Ryan Christie and his wonderful left foot on this show, are we? Because you lot neglect Scottish football. So
we're not, and I thought you were about to say you lot are in the mud because Manchester United firmly are. That's right, we're starting with the talking point. Manchester United 0, Arsenal 1, sent in by Swagato Saka.
The one and only, yes, thank you very much for getting it in, mate. We are talking about the match at Old Trafford. Match is quite generous. It was a bit of a snooze fest, wasn't it?
Oh, it's
boring.
awful.
Arsenal winning their first Premier League game in 14 years at Old Trafford with that 1-0 victory. However, Solskjaer's recent record has been patchy against the Gunners, hasn't it? He has struggled against his North London counterparts. Arsenal now unbeaten in 5 league games against United for the first time since 1992. And they were, to be fair, bloody superb at the back, weren't they? Fantastic rearguard action from Arteta's men. And they've got the best defensive record in the league now, which is quite staggering, although I imagine that changes on a game-to-game basis, such as the inconsistency in the league at the start of this season. But that back three worked to perfection, didn't it? Tierney, Gabriel and Holding. And Gabriel, in particular, was sensational in this game. His 90 looked a little bit like this. 92% pass accuracy, 5 tackles, 5 ball recoveries, 4 clearances, 1 block and 1 interception. But you could also say they equally received very adept cover from their midfield. I thought El Neni was good in this game. I don't know if Thomas Partey is that good. He's making El Neni look like a top 6 100%. Midfielder at this point. But Thomas Partey was superb. 79 touches, won possession 11 times, won 10 duels and completed 3 dribbles. Set the tempo from the off, didn't he? His first touch was a smash. And that is what Roy Keane wanted to see more of after the game. Shock horror. Now, there was a lot of criticism, wasn't there, for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang after his goal drought in recent weeks. And it wasn't just his goal drought, it was his lack of shots, his lack of touches in the box. People desperate to see him play down the middle, but he didn't set up down the middle here. However, he did score. He finally got off the mark for the season, becoming only the 2nd ever Arsenal player to score in successive Premier League games at Old Trafford. Pretty incredible. And after the game, safe to say that Arteta, aka the Ken doll, the Spanish Ken doll, was delighted and wanted to see his team maintain that momentum.
First win away to what we might call a Big Six side in nearly 6 years, January 2015. How significant a step is that, Mikel?
Absolutely. Well, there is a reason for that. That's not obviously a coincidence, and we looked at a lot of factors. We're going to try to change that as much as possible, and in my opinion, the best way to do it is to go about every game the way we go now.
In terms of your start to your season, does it just make everything feel different, that win?
Well, this win, we needed it. I think we should not have lost against Manchester City, and definitely we should not have lost against Leicester. And to come here and obviously being played already at Anfield, at the Etihad, and here in the first 7 games is a big task. And yeah, we need to keep going.
Yeah, as good as Arsenal were, you know, Partey, like you said, absolutely massive in the midfield. I thought Gabriel was superb, Marshall and Rashford. United just appalling, start to finish, in my opinion. Dismal at Old Trafford recently. 6 league games now without a win at home. We haven't won any of our opening 4 Premier League games. It's the first time that's happened since 1972. And in that campaign, we finished 18th. So fingers crossed we don't have the same problems. Consistency just remains a massive problem for Man United. 6 wins on the bounce away from home. And then we can't buy a win at Old Trafford. 4 really positive results. You know, Newcastle played really well. PSG, Chelsea was okay. Leipzig, an absolute thumping 5-0 win against the top of the Bundesliga in that 4-1, 2-1-2. Looked like we're turning a corner. But as Roy Keane said after the game, it's the longest corner in footballing history to be turned. The whole team was awful. Even Rashford and Bruno looked really off the pace, in my opinion. There is obviously a total lack of consistency across the league right now, isn't there? You know, you're seeing teams get smashed one week and then come back and play really well the next. United, almost the perfect summary of that, but it's just not good enough. And I saw lots of players taking heat after this game, namely Paul Pogba. He was terrible on the day, and he's been pretty poor at the start of the season. You know, he's given away more penalties this season than he's played key passes in the league. 2 penalties given away, 1 key pass so far this season. Not good enough. It was an awful tackle, wasn't it? It was lazy. It was wrong side. Just not good enough. But it wasn't just Paul Pogba in this game that was poor for Manchester United. Nearly every player was. The back line looked sloppy. The midfield was terrible on the ball. The forwards were isolated. United have conceded 5 penalties in 7 home games now. That's as many as in our previous 101 fixtures at Old Trafford. So it's no surprise that I was annoyed and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was annoyed at full time.
There's a reason behind big squads in football. If you want to perform time and time again, of course, but that's not possible. And with the highs of, say, the PSG game, maybe a little bit, it was okay against Chelsea, very good against Leipzig, then we're down again today. So that consistency, but that's the amount of players we've got, and today we didn't get the response that we hoped for. Well, home and away form, that's it's out the window really, with no fans in the stadium, so you can't really.
So no fans is a big factor, do you think?
Yeah, oh, definitely, 100%. So you can't really look at that. You can just look at the stats now, the amount of away wins all over. So I don't know, there's maybe 60-40 away wins compared to home wins, and so that's home form, away form doesn't really mean too much. We played fantastically on Wednesday, and now you lose, but we need to get points on the board. Last season as well, we didn't get our 3rd win until the 10th game, I think. Now we're 6 games into it and only 2, so we need to focus on next week, Everton.
Just before we get into our winners section, you know the rates. If you're not subscribed, hit that button, turn on notifications, and make sure you tune into Winner Losers every single week as this topsy-turvy season rages on. Kicking off the show then in earnest, it is Chelsea. And this was suggested by the Noobmaster69, which I think is one of Zach's alter egos. He has been absolutely unbearable for the last 24 hours since they battered Burnley at Turf Moor. Joe.
Yeah, 3-0, no real surprise because Chelsea always batter Burnley at Turf Moor. They've won 6 of their last 7 away games in the Premier League against Burnley, and the other one was a draw. This match in particular, though, was kind of key because it was the first time that all of Chelsea's summer signings have started a league game, and I have to say, they looked really, really great. I wanted to pinpoint one man in particular, though, Hakim Ziyech, because he looks to have finally get in there, refound his fitness, and I say get in there because he's in the draft team. He obviously scored against Krasnodar midweek and then scored and assisted against Burnley in this man of the match display. With that goal as well, thought this was quite an interesting one. He became the first Chelsea player to score in his first 2 starts at the club since Diego Costa 6 years ago, back in August 2014. And I think people seem to have forgotten just how amazing Hakim Ziyech can be and how incredible his form has been over the last couple of seasons, because he's now been directly involved in 30 goals in his last 40 matches in all competitions for Ajax and now Chelsea. Really, really impressive to see him in this team. Havertz, Werner, Pulisic getting game time. Well, was supposed to get game time, obviously, but had to pull out in the warm-up. And Mason Mount playing in that number 8 role. But as exciting of a front line as Chelsea have, importantly for the club, the back line has really tightened up since Edouard Mendy took the glove. He's conceded just 1 goal in 6 appearances in all competitions. Vital that happened as well, because they were still conceding goals at the start of the season. I do think it coincides with Thiago Silva coming into the team. He looks really, really good. I wasn't sure if he was going to be up to the pace of the Premier League, but he seems to be more than a match for it. And if you compare, Mendy's last 6 games to sort of Kepa's past 6 games, Kepa had conceded 14 in 6. 1 in 6 looks really, really impressive compared to that. I mean, anything would, wouldn't it? But either way, I think I would say Chelsea definitely moving in the right direction, and so would Frank Lampard.
Yeah, I thought it was a very complete performance. I think it's to come here and play against a Burnley team that make it very difficult for you. It's a difficult place to come. You know you have to defend your box well. You know you have to be very strong on first and second balls. But I wanted that to be one focus, and I wanted the other focus to be how can we keep developing in the way we're playing on the ball. and that's what really pleased me today. Some of the passing and the movement in the team from minute one till the end of the game was very good, and feels like a nice step forward. I keep talking about the work that we need to do. We're nowhere near the end of the road with that, but it was nice to have a good performance, a really solid win.
Yeah, decent result. Still no Graham Potter though, is he, mate? So, Burnley, right, they're really struggling at the start of this season, aren't they? Just a solitary point, rooted to the bottom of the Premier League. It's their worst start to a league season in the history of the club. And on the day where they suffered their heaviest Premier League defeat since December 2019, when they were thrashed 4-1 by Manchester City, sort of rained on Sean Dyche's parade, didn't it? Because it's been 8 years now, or at least it was on October 30th to be exact, when he took the helm. And it's been some journey, hasn't it, from the lower echelons of English football to the Premier League. But a lot of uncertainty around the club at the moment, and that's not helping anyone, is it? The club in the midst of a £200 million takeover from Egyptian businessman Mohamed El Kashashi, and there has been slight concern from the Burnley fan base with the bigger picture, right? And we've lifted this straight from the Sky Sports website because, of course, do not want to be done for slander. A lot of Burnley fans worried about the role of sports lawyer Chris Farnell, because on Wednesday, Farnell had his disqualifying condition lifted by an independent arbitration panel that had previously prevented him becoming a director of football in the EFL since August, when he failed the owners and directors test during an attempted takeover of Charlton Athletic. Yeah, so already the Burnley faithful, their back is up, rightly so. Now Dyche didn't seem to know too much about the move. Whether he's just being sort of coy and cute there and using that as a way to sidestep the press, we don't know. Or maybe he just doesn't know. Here he is.
Reports today that a takeover of the football club is close. What do you know about what is happening at the moment?
Really, I know what you know. I've been reading different stories. It's not really my domain. I focus on the team, and obviously it needs focus at the minute. We've had a tough start, a couple of good performances, but a tough start nonetheless. I focus on that. The chairman and the board will make the big decisions of the club. I have no power over that side of things.
Even at this stage then, as manager, do you not speak to prospective new owners?
No, not in this case. I don't know whether that's standard or not. But no, I don't know of any ownership. So, as far as I know, they're all stories in the papers, but they seem to be growing and sort of, getting more detailed as the last couple of weeks have gone on.
Our losers this week then were sent in by E_right17, and of course it is Everton, because they missed out on a chance to move back up to the summit of the Premier League, losing 2-1 to Newcastle. Not exactly a high-flying Newcastle either, away from home. This result, of course, means that Carlo Ancelotti's side remain second behind their Merseyside and bitter rivals, Liverpool. Now, they started the season on fire. We were absolutely loving them. We were bigging them up for the top four. 4 consecutive wins at the start of the season, but they're now winless in their last 3 games. That squad depth already becoming an issue. And Carlo Ancelotti has now lost consecutive league matches for the first time since September 2014, when he was in charge of Madrid, and that was 4-2 against Sociedad and 2-1 against Atletico Madrid.
Niche.
The headline grabber pre-game here was that Jordan Pickford was finally left out of the team. He's been in horrible form, but this was the first time he'd been left out of a Premier League side in 120 consecutive matches, which is so long, and he's been out of form for quite some time. But it made little to no difference. Newcastle put up 2.7 expected goals in this game to the Toffees 1.2. And yes, they were dominant with the ball, 65% possession, but they struggled to create anything of real note. And I think huge issue for them is that continued absence of Richarlison and Digne on that left-hand side. Both of them were banned. 2 of the biggest creators in the side, particularly Digne from set pieces. So people can go on about Jordan Pickford's exclusion all they want. I don't think it's the biggest issue. And, Carlo Ancelotti already said after the game he's going to come straight back in. Oh, that beat was a bit tiny, wasn't it? 1 second. I'm off the screen.
What was that? You got your oven on?
Firstly, could you tell us the reasons why Jordan Pickford starts on the bench today?
No technical reason. I just want to give him a rest for this game, just to give the opportunity to Olsen to have minutes. Jordan, he will be back the next game against United.
As for Newcastle, their approach remains pragmatic, let's say, if uninspiring, but it's been semi-effective for Steve Bruce at the start of this season. 11 points from 7 games is pretty solid going, isn't it? Considering they finished rock bottom on expected points last term. Now, their home record definitely improving too. They've won 2 of their past 3 at St James's Park, as many as they've won in their previous 11 top-flight games.
Wow.
And central to this improvement has obviously been Callum Wilson, hasn't it? He's now scored 6 in his first 7 Premier League games for Newcastle. Only Les Ferdinand has reached 6 goals in fewer appearances in the Premier League quicker for the Magpies. And
wow,
he's enjoying a purple patch individually, isn't he? As well as affecting the form of his side. He's now scored as many for Newcastle in 7 games as he scored in his final 30 appearances for Bournemouth. So he deserves this, doesn't he? Wilson deserves the rub of the green.
Yeah.
And he's played for 2 shot-shy sides, probably shot-negative sides as well. But here he is enjoying his best run in quite some time. And after the game, good old Brucey, he was chipper, wasn't he? He had a smile on his face, and this is what he had to say.
We knew tactically it was going to be a battle against one of the great managers. And of course he's had a couple of problems like we all have had of recent weeks with injuries, but I couldn't have been more pleased. I was a bit edgy towards the end, and stuff of last year came into the equation. But I was pleased for them. I thought we deserved it. Look, they've thrown everything at us, and they've got a goal, and then it does beget. Comes a bit edgy, but the goalkeeper, with his save towards the end and come and caught it from the corner, just relieved that little bit of tension what was around the place. We're trying to do it in a different way. We're trying to be a little bit more expansive, but as I keep saying, it's a little bit work in progress. Even though I've been here 15 months, we've just got to do what's best for the team and best for the squad, and they're comfortable at the minute. So let's keep plugging away.
So that's it for today's episode of Winners and Losers. If you enjoyed it, hit like, hit subscribe. What should the people do next?
Keep their peepers peeled for Euro Roundup, which should come in an hour's time. And also, we're doing this on Sunday night in order to get it up on Monday morning, right? So if you are watching this nice and early on a Monday, I want to hear from you. Are you enjoying this earlier upload time? Or should me and Joe just, put our feet up on Sunday afternoon and do normal things? Because we want to know, basically, if the extra effort is worth it. Apart from that, just, stay safe, enjoy yourself, and adhere to lockdown measures.
God, thanks very much for watching. Bye.
Bye.